Oh, Lord. How's it going, guys? You know, I always use the term guys, and I got corrected the other day about that. I never really think about it that much as far as gender or anything is concerned. I don't know why I never did. I never did. So anytime I go somewhere, I'm like, hey, what's up, guys? And I kind of mean that in supposed to be being meant inclusively. I don't know. Oh man, oh man, oh man. So there was some stuff I was going to talk about today, and I did not. Did I? I don't know. I tried making a list of what I was going to talk about, but I don't believe I did. I think I completely forgot what the hell I was doing. I'm working on making a new list for organization for my stuff, and what I had meant to do was like using the checklist aspect in, in iOS. I was going to start using that. So I'd have something to stick to what I was doing and, get things accomplished a little bit better. Maybe I need to make that list first. It's kind of weird. Yeah. So it's been hot as hell here. Let's talk about the weather instead. You know what? That used to be a song. My a fellow that I was never related to him except by marriage. Years ago, his name's Tiger, or I knew him as Tiger. Tiger Marion, who was a phenomenal guitarist, hell of a singer. He used to be in a band called The Works, and they used to have this song, why don't we talk about the weather instead? And somewhere I have that cassette, and I can't stand that I can't find that again. And I've been trying to make communication with him, see if he has an old copy of it. It was old school. I don't even know why I'm bringing this up, just remembering things, but oh man. So I've been thankfully inundated with quite a bit of new freelance that has rolled in, which is good. And then there's like some old freelance I'm still really hammering away at, trying to get out of the way and get it completed and make sure it's really good. Recently I started realigning what I want to do and how I want to accomplish more things moving forward and give myself a better strategy for being able to organize what I'm doing. Some of it has been organizing the studio, some of it has been organizing workflow, some of it has been thinking ahead. There was a comment that was made by a fellow, he runs the local Gundam store, and when he was talking about it, there was two things he said. The first one was, now I don't know the veracity or the truth of the first one, but he seems like a fairly truthful person and fairly cut and dry. He was talking about how the company Bandai has a 100-year plan. 100 years. That is mind-blowing. They are assuming, I would surmise, I'm not somebody who runs a model building, mecha-based sort of company. They are assuming that this will be something that will work, in the year, 2130 or whatever. It's so weird to even say that. Yeah, it's just wild to think about that. Nonetheless, he was saying about how he had, he was like, well, as a business person, I've got, a 1 year, a 2 year, a 3 year, a 5 year, a 7 year, and a 10-year plan. And he's like, and I'm currently working further than that. It was something along that line. I'm paraphrasing here, but it was something where I hadn't really done that sort of thing. I think I always took it year by year, and I think because of the coaching sessions I've been going through, it has been helping to understand where I imperatively need to focus on things. Nonetheless, it's been interesting. It really has. Because as much as I want to focus on that, there's other shit that just comes up that you're like, okay, well, this is new and crappy. And one of the things is the fact that, Supreme Court shot down any chance of student loan forgiveness going through. That's phenomenal. It's great. Because of accrued interest, I have currently about $36,000 in student loan. That's just horrifying, and I tend to stay fairly apolitical. I think most of you understand where I fall on the political spectrum. But the worst part about this is I believe that, yeah, they probably, like one side, or I'm not even blaming one side. I'm blaming just people in charge in general. I believe that for a lot of them, they didn't really want something like that forgiven as easily as, debt with corporations or something, because, nothing lines their pocket if former students and, see their educational loans go away. Nothing helps them there. It's almost as bad as universal basic income. And so that, that kind of struck me. I was like, well, I can keep putting my stuff into forbearance as long as they'll let me. But ultimately, where does that leave for me as a professional? What does that turn into? I have no idea. I wish I did, but I just don't. Yeah, it's just so nuts. But sometimes progress is a good thing. I'll show you guys this. A little bit of a mess here, but I think I can safely show this without knocking the rest of the stuff off my drawing table. So I got this in from Formlabs. Now I have been looking for a while. This component is a gray rotating arm, and I was originally going to do a little video kind of showcasing this and stuff, but I thought, you know what, I'll do it in my journal. So all nice and branded paper. So this is, damn, that is nice. Okay, so I'll show you guys here. This is an arm. That is nice. And I know you can't really see the quality as well on here. I wish there was a way I could really zoom in on this. Maybe I'll go ahead and clip this in Premiere and kind of zoom in a little bit here. But the smoothness on this is insane. I am consistently blown away by how much 3D printing is advancing. There are now toy companies, and I imagine well before toy companies could do this, other high-end companies were doing far more advanced things. I'll use one of these figures here. So I have these figures I'll sometimes use if I can't figure out a pose or something. Now each one of these figures have joints in them and things like that, right? And the normal way to make an action figure or any sort of plastic item of any kind is you mold each and every single one of these pieces. So the elbow joint, the arm joint, every moving bit you see on here is molded separately. And there are metal dies for them, and that's usually the most expensive aspect of creating anything in injection molded plastic, PVC, you name it, is that you have to have metal dies, and those dies eventually will wear down and so on. But with something like that arm, that was 3D printed. Now I have reached out, and they give out these sample parts every once in a while. I like to collect them just to kind of, keep in the know. And Formlabs is definitely one that every single time I look at this, I'm like, geez, I need to get one. But every single time I think about that, I'm like, well, they keep getting better and better. And the reason I'm even talking about a 3D printing part, in lieu of just going on about what's happening with everything else, is that something I've come to terms with is this. I can't actively control what else is happening. And I've noticed in a couple of other conversations online, just different things that are happening, just a lot of shit I won't bother to go into, but a lot of what I've seen transpire that has affected me before and still does to some degree is that when you feel like there isn't a reason to keep moving forward because it always seems like life wants to kick you down, which is usually the easiest thing, right? Playing the part of a victim is something that not a lot of us are comfortable to admit to. And I'm not saying there aren't true victims. I'm not saying that there aren't victims of circumstance. I'm saying that there is a point where maybe something doesn't work out for me, but at the exact same time, I have to be able to look at what I'm going through and understand something about it, that there is going to be a positive in some way, unless it's just phenomenally, I messed that word up, phenomenally really bad. There's got to be at least some silver lining in there. At the same time, I don't want you guys to think that I'm just talking about toxic positivity, because fucking A, that's a real thing. But there is this idea in my head now, and some of it has come through coaching, some of it's come through therapy, where I have allowed myself to understand where I am now. And now daily, I'm taking note of where I am, what I'm doing. I've managed to set micro goals, and I'm talking like ridiculous goals. There's this app called Finch, and you guys are gonna think this is funny, right? It's a little cartoon bird, and it gives you little goals. You can set these goals up and stuff. Now you get a 7-day trial, and then after that, it's like $39.99 a month or a year. And I thought, let me give it a try, because I've been trying all these other organizer apps and all this other shit, and everything either seemed too fucking hippie fruity or just way too, Microsoft Outlook style, and there was nothing in between. So I thought, you know what am I comfortable with? I love animation. I love cute, cartoony things. Sometimes that's all it takes for me to pick up something, to buy something, to get something, right? I'm a huge fan of Sanrio. So when I saw this, I'm like, dang, I'm gonna do that, right? I'm gonna jump into that one. And I did, and it's fun. And right here, I'll put it right here. There's a shot of it. And that's my little penguin. And there's all kinds of options you can do. The whole point is you set these goals, and every single day the whole thing is based on honesty. As you do them, okay, you check these things off, and you get a certain amount of points that go toward keeping what is basically a micro pet, a Tamagotchi, alive. And they in turn have their own little micro pets. And my whole discovery in this was, it doesn't really matter what I do to get there. If I can build things that will allow me to overcome and get goals of mine completed, things that I owe people, work that I need to do to get my stuff going, using that app was enough of a reason for me to start organizing to-do and checklists that were far more manageable. It also made me aware of screen time on my phone. It allowed me to formulate a pipeline better for my video creation so that I wasn't so stressed out about things. It was giving me more to formulate notes, although I lost them for this particular journal entry. Thank goodness I can remember these things. Everything from that to being able to be more flexible. I had gotten an invite from a buddy of mine, and it's going to be for, I think, doing something either in studio, in person, or via the web. I'm not sure yet. And he had thrown a date out, and I was like, yeah, no, absolutely. I didn't have to think about it because I had already organized certain days that either I have a show, or I'll be out of town for some reason, or I know I have a heavy load of work that has to be done, or there's any number of other things that are happening. But even those I've managed to nail down into small specific things that, I'll give you a really good example. Even on my phone now, I've started removing all the social media. If I'm going to be on social media, I'll come to my desk and do that. And even then, I know I have to go through the effort of loading up the web page. So I just keep them off. Number one, it's been more stress-free. Number two, I get a lot more things done. Number three, I'm starting to check my mail and other stuff at certain times. Now, I've left my email on there because that is my work email, and I get email from clients and offers and other things like that throughout the day. So I want to be able to respond to those things in a timely fashion. And, text messages, of course. But all this time, for many years, and especially ever since COVID, I've been really struggling to try and figure out, why do I have these hours? Why is it I have certain amounts of waking hours and I'm unable to jump ahead and clean up my act and really get a good grasp on where I'm trying to head and what I'm trying to accomplish? If I have a mental health problem, if I have a problem with my truck, I want to fix it. I want to find out how to get there. That involves accepting help. That involves looking for help, looking for outlets, looking for any opportunity to build upon those aspects within myself that are either weakened or challenged or just absent, and embracing that. And it isn't easy. It's not. It's just not. And I know that was something I struggled with through a lot of my jobs, through a lot of other places. It's kind of weird because when I really sat down and thought about it, I was like, Jesus, man, how many things have I just really messed up for myself? Because if I had been able to really take a step back and think about what I was doing, in a lot of circumstances, I probably would be in a very different place now. I say that, but then that's also kicking failure in the face, which isn't a bad thing to do. But sometimes, a lot of times, my failures directly affected my ability to be able to understand where and what I needed to do to succeed and to move forward. It shouldn't be that hard to get through life. It shouldn't be that hard to do these things. But it is. For some of us, it is. I wish I could be those people, you know, because I've known some people. I genuinely have worked with some people that they were like, hey, not even a problem, right? I'm going to go to work, get my shit done, go home, do that, and rinse, wash, and repeat. And I've just never been that. And it's just something I don't have that capacity to do that. Even though, and I can admit this fully, even though like right now, my life is topsy-turvy. I kind of dig. I really actually enjoy the weird, erratic nature of freelance work, of knowing I can do certain things when I want, how I want. Like being able to go to a Hy-Vee and stand in the bread aisle and like choose bread, like a loaf of bread for like 10, 15 minutes is fucking freeing. I couldn't ever do that when I worked for a corporation. I could never do that when I worked for somebody else, but I can do it for me. But it does mean that I have that responsibility to be able to, you know, just, I have to acquiesce to what is important as well, too. And structure is still necessary in my life. Only very few people I could ever even think of could live super chaotically all the time and be efficient at the exact same time. I believe that most people really crave a lot of structure. They really do. And thankfully, a lot of the stuff I'm doing now, like the content creation, like creating YouTube videos and finishing, you know, how I want my website to look, all of these little micro projects to long-term projects down the road, it's given me more of a facet to be able to understand what I've done wrong and where I want to go. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks for watching the playthroughs and all the other stuff and leaving comments and things. And super special shout out to Blick Art Supplies for following me and for commenting. That was so freaking rad in my YouTube short the other day. That was just awesome. Their store here in Kansas City is really wonderful. There used to be two different stores I would go to. Theirs and Creative Coldsnow. And unfortunately, Creative Coldsnow had to shut down recently. Now they've just got their framing store open. That's heartbreaking because I first learned about that from an instructor at UCM over 20 years ago. And I started going there, and then I just recently found out today, this morning, that Creative Coldsnow is gone. So that leaves Blick Art Supplies as really the main art supply store that I go to. And I've never been disappointed by what they carry or anything, and I'm really happy they're still here in Kansas City. So, I don't know. You guys will probably see more TikTok shorts with me doing more visits there since I do so many of those anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in my next journal entry. See you later.